it's hard to measure energy. What you can measure is the effects. It's better to measure the effects of a shift in energy or a shift in consciousness, and you can measure the downward causation of that. And God, after looking at so many brain scans, I can tell you that the moment you get beyond yourself, the moment you disconnect from your identity, you're not a male, you're not American, you're not an engineer, you're not a dad, you're not an athlete, you're not a name, you get beyond all of those things. That's the moment you begin to connect to a greater field of information. Now, once you're there, once you're nobody, no one, nothing, nowhere, and no time, you're pure consciousness. Now you're ready to connect to the unified field. And when you begin to pay attention to it, when you begin to stay present with it, when you begin to surrender to it, experience it moment after moment after moment, every time you interact with it and experience it, you're laying down circuitry in your brain. Why is that important? Because the next time you do it, you have the circuits in place to perceive more of it. And if you pay attention and you unfold deeper into it, you'll experience more of it, which means you'll lay down more circuits. And all of a sudden, as you begin to connect to the unified field, you're connecting to a field of information and energy. What's the relevance of that? Well, you start experiencing more wholeness and more oneness instead of separation, which is created by the hormones of stress. The more you live in stress, the more you become a materialist and you define reality with your senses, because it's important to define reality with your senses when you're in survival. Right. So the more you're living by your senses, the more you're believing you're an object in local space and time, and I'm an object in local space and time, and we have some things in common, so we're kind of connected, but God forbid you look differently, or I didn't know anything about you, I'd experience more separation. Well, the moment you get beyond all of that and you're connecting to a unifying field of interconnectedness that's governing everything material, you're going to start to feel the consciousness of everybody, of everyone, of everything, of everywhere, and every time. You're going to experience less separation and more wholeness. And the more whole you feel, imagine, the less lack you have in your mind. You feel like you already have everything you need. And there are biological changes that go on. You see the front of the brain started talking to the back of the brain, the right side of the brain talking. When we start seeing that happen, we know the person's going to have a transcendental moment. And when those two hemispheres come together and there's psychic union going on, the union of polarity, the union of duality, the union of opposites is called love, it's called wholeness. At the same exact time, the heart blows open and the person's heart is in super coherence, and they're so whole, they're so in love with life that it's impossible for them to want. I mean, how can you want when you feel whole or you feel like you have everything? And that's when the magic happens, because now you're no longer creating from polarity. Most people create from polarity like, oh, there's the sports car, oh, there's the wardrobe. I don't have that, I want one of those. And then they go after it. And then once they get it, they have the emotion of it. And then, oh, there's another car, or there's another new suit.
Back to the cycle.
So back to the cycles. But the more whole you feel, and you can create that state on command, the less likely you're going to force and control outcomes, because you feel like you already have them. And then that's when
they come.
Synchronicities, serendipities, coincidences, opportunities start landing in people's lap. And now they're the vortex to their destiny. They're no longer dragging their body through space and experiencing time to get what they want. They're collapsing time and space, or the event is coming to them. Now, that's true manifestation, because if you live like that every single day, you would never rush to your death, because you'd feel like you didn't need to rush anywhere. The moment you're rushing, you're back into living by the laws of Newtonian physics. So most people say, well, when I heal, then I'll be grateful. When I'm wealthy, then I'll feel abundant. When I'm successful, I'll feel empowered. When I'm in love with somebody, then I'll feel love and joy. When I'm successful, I'll feel empowered. They're waiting for something outside of them to change how they feel inside of them. But the new model is, instead of cause and effect, causing an effect. The moment you start feeling whole in gratitude, your healing begins. The moment you start feeling abundant, you're generating wealth. The moment you're in love with yourself and in love with life, you're going to attract magic and an equal to you. The moment The moment you feel empowered, you're stepping towards your success. Now you're causing an effect. And people begin to reason this, and we set up the conditions for them to apply it and to practice it. It takes a little bit of flipping certain circuits because we're just hypnotized and conditioned into waiting for getting something to feel gratitude. So you say to a person, feel gratitude, and your first thought is like, well, I didn't get anything, but then they start thinking about the things they have in their life. But I want them to feel gratitude for the things that haven't come yet. Because gratitude, the emotional signature of gratitude, means it's already happened. When you get something or receive something, you feel the emotion of gratitude. So the moment you feel gratitude, your body as the unconscious mind begins to believe it has already happened. And gratitude has a signature energetically. And you will accept, believe, and surrender to the thought equal to the state of gratitude. And you begin to program your autonomic nervous system into a different destiny. And our research shows 10 minutes of gratitude just a few times a day strengthens your immune system by 50%. If a pharmaceutical company had that drug, it would be on every television commercial. And yet, your nervous system's the best pharmacy in the world.